I'm starting in the front view of my reference with one single plane. This is a technique called plane modeling. Unlike box modeling, I start with one plane and extrude from the side to create a shape that I want from one side at a time. This is great for organic modeling because it allows so much versatility to create loops and faces that are imperfect in shape. So I've created several loops around the eyes and around the mouth. This is very important for the rigging phase of the project and for animation. Loops around these openings allow for deformations. I also am avoiding using any triangles. The only shapes on the object are four-sided polygons. This is very important for texturing and for deformation. For the nose, I'll extrude outward from this initial flat shape to make sure there's enough geometry to support a complex and detailed nose. I'll smooth the sides of the nose later. For now, I just want to make sure I have a lot of geometry to work with. The lines down the center of the face need to be spaced out to avoid any visible seams in the smoothed product. Lines that are too close to each other act like holding lines and create hard corners. The face is going to look a little bit like a frog for a lot of this process, and that's okay. The important thing is to make sure the anatomy is accurate. The question you should ask yourself when making a face isn't, does it look good through the whole process? The question you should ask yourself is, could a skull fit behind this face? There are tools that I'll use later to make the face pretty. For now, the important thing is to get the anatomy accurate. The human face has a lot of circles and a lot of squishiness, so the cheeks, the eyelids, and the mouth need to be plumped up and full. The loops are very important, especially around the mouth, both for deformation and for realistic plumpness. In order to make the geometry behave correctly, I'll have to add in a lot of extra geometry around the parts of the face that move the most. This includes adding in new lines, new points, and just new faces. There are a lot of different ways to do this. I could have some placeholder eyes in at this stage, but they're not completely necessary until later when I clean up my shapes and make them look nice. For this stage, a lot of what I'm doing is just adjusting the overall shape of the face to be sure that bone structure could fit in behind the geometry. The top and the back of the head don't need to be perfect at this stage because I'll be editing them later on with shaping tools. The most important thing at this stage is to pay attention to the overall size of each plane, making sure that they are appropriate to the shape they're forming. For the neck and the back of the head, I used a bridge with a bend in it and found that my shape wasn't symmetrical enough to make this easy. I had to make a judgment call when I realized this and decide if I was going to redo part of it or just move forward and edit the geometry until it was better. I decided to move forward, knowing that I would delete half the head and mirror it again later in the process. This is the stage where I made the head more pretty. I used a lattice extensively to shape the face and head like putty, moving the entire shape with one tool. I line the lips with a holding line to give them a crease for an outline, and I plump up the cheeks. The lattice is something I use a lot, and it's the quickest way to move the shape of an entire object until the end product looks pretty. I can also delete half the head at any time if I forget to turn on my symmetry tool, and I can duplicate it as a reflection and reattach the exact copy. During this stage, I start to care more about the placement of individual vertices and paying attention to specific detail. I change my perspective in the viewport more now than at any other time in the process, making sure that things are smooth where they should be smooth and round where they should be round. This especially is important for the mouth, because around the mouth, any incorrect placement of a vertice is very noticeable. The nostrils are very important and easy to forget. The only thing you have to do to make good nostrils is extrude them up into the head. The shape of the nose is not an easy one to achieve, so I spend a lot of time on my noses. The ear holes are as far as I'll go in this video as far as ears go. I won't show how to make an actual ear at this stage. The eye socket should be flush with the eye at this stage, so that no camera angle is going to be able to see into a gap between the eye and the skin. Details are most important at the end, when every vertex is crucial to the smoothed shape. This face is cartoony and smooth, more in the style of a Pixar character than a video game, and she has a lot less detail than something like Assassin's Creed or BioShock. However, these techniques and enough time can get a character to that level of detail. The end of the process is where I spend the most time making sure that she looks the way I want her to artistically. This is the fun part of the process, when I get to achieve the shape of the mouth and of the eyes. Everything in this stage is up to the artist. Attaching the head can be tricky because you need as much geometry around the edge of the neck as you do at the edge of the shoulders. There's frequently quite a bit of geometry deleting at this stage, which is tricky to do without losing any of your shape or detail. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a lot about how to model a 3D character.